Hey you! Welcome to episode 8, the final episode of Indigenous. Well, today is our last episode for now. Before we begin, Indigenous is a humble series where we explore together the various gendered identity terms around the world in hopes of educating people that non-binary gender and transgenderism has been around long before the colonization of the non-Western world. The non-Western world, which continues to be colonized in a lot of ways. And we're doing this because people with these other gender expressions are consistently and continually being hurt by discourses of Westernism, religion, conservatism, and just people being really ignorant about culture. So that's why we're here.
H-E-R-E, bitch, I'm here.
To educate. Now today we are looking at pre-colonial or Aboriginal Australia. Cue my cliche, horrible accent attempt at Australian English in 3, 2, 1. Crikey! You ready to learn some English with this hoe? Ooh, I think that might be my worst accent attempt yet. Oh, and before I forget to say this, because I never remember, if you like learning English and other things, life skills, glamour, obviously, humility, then be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can catch my videos every week. Yes. Okay, Australia. Now we definitely need a map today. Back it up, back that map up like a dump truck. We are going to the Tiwi Islands, which are off the coast of northern Australia. But also, let me say something about the term Aboriginal. Again, this is very new for me, so correct me if needed, nicely.
Please.
The term Aboriginal Australian seems to be kind of an umbrella term, like most English terms. Of course, there's tons of different Aboriginal groups in Australia, but a big division seems to lie between mainland Aboriginal Australians and then the Islanders. The Islanders off of the north coast of the country. Specifically, the Tiwi Islanders and the Torres Strait Islanders. So let's take a look at this big hunk of a continent called Australia here. All right, here is the Torres Strait. Now, whenever people talk about Indigenous Australians, they be like, and for the Aboriginal Australians or Torres Strait Islanders, blah, 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 blah. So they make those two groups. However, we are up here. So we're going west to the Tiwi Islands. So yay, more islands. But it does seem like the people of the Tiwi Islands are grouped in that like mainland Aboriginal Australian group in some places. They're kind of separate from that, and they're also separate from the Torres Strait Islands, so they're their own group of Aboriginal Australians. Separate and pretty distinct from the Torres Strait. And they have their own language. Oh my god, can you guess what it is? Tiwi! And there's over 2,000 people inhabiting these islands, most of them Indigenous Tiwians. Most of them Indigenous people. It's crazy. It's crazy because Indigenous Australians have inhabited Australia for so long. I checked, it's like 60,000 years. Europeans have been in America for like 500 years. Like, what? See, and this is why Indigenous people all around the world need to have more power. You know, like everywhere they've had so much taken away from them. I mean, think back to high school. It's like you're sitting at lunch with your girls and then all of a sudden Darcy over here, who just moved to the school from out of town, she sits down and she's like, oh hey, this is my table now. And I say, we're all dyeing our hair blonde. And you're just sitting there and you're like,
Nobody hit your buzzer.
shut up, Darcy, go back to Orange County. Ugh. The injustice is just gross. Anyways, we've arrived at the gender part of this video. Aboriginal Australians have the term sister girl or brother boy. And the origin of these words is kind of a story of self-definition. Being me, I looked at these terms and I was like, they don't look like super Indigenous terms, so I started looking. Not that kind of looking. I found this Tiwi word, yimpinini, and for the other Indigenous groups, I found these. But I also found in a couple of places, they're a bit pejorative and the non-cisgendered Indigenous people don't seem to like these terms. I think the indigenous other gendered people don't see these terms as properly identifying them. So that's where the terms sister boy and brother boy came into the culture. It was a way for other gendered people to rename themselves based on their gender identity, but also their indigenous identity. Because in Australia, people who are trans but not indigenous don't call themselves sister girl or brother boy. So basically, well, this is kind of reductive, but if you call yourself sister girl or brother boy, you are saying I am trans, but I'm also indigenous. So they're like multi-layered terms. I hope that made sense. But I did find a really good definition of brother boy from a YouTube video that kind of interviews two brother boys. Quote time. Okay, so this is Kai, and Kai identifies as a brother boy. And he said, a brother boy is an indigenous, transgender, or sex diverse person who was assigned female at birth, but inside they have a boy spirit and they live through the boy spirit. They take on male roles in society and live their lives as male. Being a brother boy encompasses your gender identity and your cultural identity. How is that for a perfect quote? And then for sister girl, we can kind of reverse that. People who were assigned male at birth, but then they have a female spirit and they live through society, fulfilling the roles of women. So, oh, by the way, I saw it written as like sister girl and brother boys, but I don't actually know if the spelling makes a difference in the meaning of the word, so just be aware. Kind of like sister. But yeah, a lot of sister girl and brother boy people live in rural Australia. Oh, ow. That's where a lot of these indigenous populations are, in the north. And I noticed in the videos that I was watching on YouTube, sister girls and brother boys who live in the rural parts of Australia are very hesitant to move away. They're very hesitant to move into the bigger cities. They love their communities and they love their indigenous culture and land. But it was also kind of sad and kind of a dilemma because even within their indigenous communities, they still face a lot of discrimination. And this is where Indigenous Australia gets a little bit different to some of the other places that we have discussed. I mean, not too different, but a little bit. And a lot of the other cultures that we've studied so far, non-binary gendered people are pretty much well accepted into their communities. But in Aboriginal Australia, it's kind of split. I came across some really heartbreaking stories about mostly sister girls who were just completely rejected by their communities and their families. But I also found, and it was hard, but I also found some pretty solid research about other gendered identities in Australia, and this included Indigenous people. So hopefully the sister girls and brother boys of Australia continue to have their voice heard, both within and outside of their communities. Okay, so let's take a minute and just pause and reflect. Oh, my foot is falling asleep. It's 2:30 in the morning, you guys.
I am dead inside.
What? Where have we been? What have we done? Well, we have looked at the indigenous terms for non-binary and transgendered people in the Pacific Islands, Mahu in Hawaii, in South Asia, Hijra of India, two-spirited people in Native America, specifically the Winkte, Nadle, and Lamana, Na'ihamana. Oh my god, I was so embarrassed about that. I was editing and realized the mispronunciation, and I was just like, Lamana, Southeast Asia and the Bisu of Indonesia, Samoa and the Fa'afafinge and Fa'afatama, Africa and the Kimbanda of Ethiopia and the Ashime of Angola. I think I got those right. Central America and the Mushe and the Biza'a of Mexico. And now Australia with sister girls and brother boys. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm pretty proud of myself for doing this.
You better work, you whore.
But more importantly, I'm just really happy that on one channel you can see the evidence that globally, that universally, non-binary gender and transgenderism is something that is not new and has been around since pre-colonial times. And just look at the similarities. Across cultures, these people are so gifted. In all of these cultures, who are the cultural practitioners? The experts in language, in the arts, in dance, in the culture. These people are looked up to. They are strong, they are respected, they are necessary, they are leaders. And to try and discredit them, denounce them, reject them, just because one group of people in the world just happen to spread like crazy, a group that gained power through the worst ways of colonialism. Colonialism buried under the excuse of what? Religion, pride, a thirst for power and resources? It's ridiculous. And on top of that, there are so many cultures and terms that we didn't talk about. I mean, the facaliti in Tonga, the travesti in Brazil, the femminillo in Italy. So I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm just trying to show people that whether you like it or not, these people exist. These cultures are ancient. These people exist. They deserve our respect. So please stop being to them. Please. And if you're an Indigenous person out there and you discriminate against people who express other gender identities, really? Girl, this is your chance. Get it together. Okay, I'm done. I know this video, it was kind of serious for me, but just remember this. You have a voice. You know where this is going.
The best is yet.
You have the power to teach people, probably much more patiently than me. Learn my so do it. Don't ever think that you can't make a difference, because if you change one person's heart, then that is such an achievement. And trying is better than just staying silent. To quote a sister girl from the research done for this video, Crystal said, "These things have to be told. People die from silence." And that's the reality. Trans people have been dying, are dying, and will die because of ignorance and silence. So, think about that. And that's all I gotta say. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Okay, I swear, this is it for the summer videos. Next one up is going to be English. See you then, bro. Ho, bro. Whatever. Goodbye.